The following presentation is controversial and may be shocking to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you aren't proud to fly the stars and stripes and don't think this is the best country on earth, then please leave now. If you refuse to listen to the truth and just want to smile, turn on the TV and ignore what's going on, then this ain't for you. If you think the notion of martial law in America is no more than a crackpot theory, and you think you and your family are ready and prepared for any major disaster that may come, please leave now and enjoy your blindfolded, medicated euphoria. If that's you, then you're on your own. Best of luck. You'll need it, seriously. I'm Frank Mitchell, a proud member of the U.S. Armed Forces and a certified disaster and survival expert who's going to show you how to keep your family safe, happy, and healthy no matter what you have to face. I wish I never had to make this video. I wish you didn't have to watch it, but I'm damn glad you are right now. I really wish I could tell you that this great country is as stable as a reinforced concrete wall, but I can't. I wish you could just go about your life like you have every day, not aware of the dangerous situation you're really in. I wish you could just relax and watch the game while everything goes on like it always has. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that if you don't wake up and listen to me right now, you and your family are on a one-way train to a catastrophe of epic proportions. Think of it like this. If you knew your friend was too drunk to drive, would you still let him get behind the wheel and drive off? I hope not. I hope you're the type of person who would take control, put him in your car and drive him home, even if you have to force him kicking and screaming. You're in the exact same situation right now, and it's my duty to tell you to stop, take action, and prepare for the future before it's too late. And even if you think you've already got it all figured out, I'm about to blow your mind when you find out just how serious the situation really is. The information I'm about to share may shock you, but you have to learn this now before it's too late. I'm not saying the world is going to end tomorrow, and I'm no conspiracy theorist, and I sure can't predict the future. I can say one thing though, the writing is on the wall and no one can deny it. If you've done nothing to prepare and are expecting the government to provide for you and your family in any situation that arises, then you have another thing coming. And if you've already built or bought your own disaster kit, according to the Department of Homeland Security's website, you might be in an even worse situation. Thinking you're prepared when you really aren't gives you an incredibly dangerous false sense of security, and I can't stand by and watch that happen. I realize that this may be a tough pill to swallow. Facing reality is scary, and most people would rather just ignore it. But the truth is, if you care about yourself and your family, then you better be nervous about where this country is going. You can feel it. Something is going to happen, and it's not going to be years from now. I don't know when, but I do know one thing. You won't have any warning. Stop trying to convince yourself that everything is okay. It's time to step up, learn the truth, and get ready. The U.S. economy is in the worst position it's ever experienced. Our global credit rating was downgraded by Standard & Poor (S&P) for the first time in history. The crippling $17 trillion debt our bloated government created is shoving our financial system closer and closer to complete collapse. That's a 200% national deficit increase in the last 10 years alone, and it shows no signs of stopping. If the trend continues, eventually we won't be able to make the payments, just like a hard-working father who loses his income and can't pay his mortgage when his job outsourced to China. The trillions in treasury bonds the government issues becomes worthless, and the countries that hold our debt, like China, Japan, Taiwan, and Russia, abandon the dollar because we can't make the payments. Not to mention the foreign oil countries that hold trillions more in U.S. debt. What happens? According to economist Peter Schiff, during 2013 and 14, we are in store for a collapse even greater than what we saw in 2008 that will rock our economy to its very core. Here's one scenario. The dollar will become worthless on the international market as the treasury bonds we've issued are no longer worth the paper they're printed on. The foreign oil our country is addicted to will suddenly become so expensive that major corporations won't be able to afford the cost of fuel. Gas prices have already risen 270% over the last 10 years. When this crisis hits, they could rise over 500% in a single day. The same corporations who create and sell the food you eat every day won't be able to afford to run their trucks. The trucks will just stop. The highways will be empty. Your grocery store will not be restocked. Stores will be picked clean in the first week as Americans grab whatever they can. No more bottled water, no bread, and no milk or baby formula. What little food is left will be too expensive for you to buy. We've seen it happen before in places like East Africa in 2011. China in the late 50s, Russia in the 30s, and Haiti in 2008. Millions of people who couldn't afford food or there was just none to buy. Mass chaos and death were the result. Whenever the right elements come together, collapse is the only outcome. And all those elements are in play right now. Overwhelming national debt, protests, rising food and fuel costs. It's all happening right now. If you watch the news, you know what I'm saying is true. Do you think your government will take care of you when it happens? Have you seen what a FEMA shelter looks like? Do you remember what happened in New Orleans? Do you want to be standing in a government food line hoping that you get enough to feed yourself and your entire family for the week? Hoping that the thousands of other people standing in line are all just going to get along, be friendly, and not try to grab your food for themselves? Or worse, your government knows this is on the horizon. They just aren't telling you how to prepare for it. What happens when all the city and county workers who maintain our electrical grids and water systems have to spend every moment making sure their families have enough food to eat? Who's there to make sure you have clean water and electricity flowing to your house? No one. That's who. A systematic breakdown of our nation's entire infrastructure is a true possibility, and all it takes is one failure to knock that first domino over. I can feel it. I bet you can too. And I know there isn't enough real specialized information and instruction out there for the millions of people who will be up Schitt's Creek when the hammer drops, especially for the families. I have a family of my own, a wife and 2 sons, and I know the real panic I feel when I think about what they would go through if we weren't prepared. You don't need to feel that panic. You just need to be ready. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I've been living and breathing survival for my entire adult life. It's who I am. I hold over 60 FEMA disaster-related certifications. I'm a military policeman and trained on everything that can happen during a crisis situation, and an expert on all U.S. Army small arms. I spend weeks at a time in the wilderness with nothing but the skills I'm about to teach you to keep me alive. I'm a 2nd-degree black belt in Taekwondo and personal defense expert. I'm not trying to brag, but if you combine Bear Grylls and Chuck Norris, you've got me. During my military career, I've seen what happens when catastrophe strikes. I've had to put on my riot gear and watch as panic rips a community apart. And after years of this, I came to realize that the American public is perhaps the least well-prepared nation in the world when it comes to dealing with a disaster. Millions of people going to work, coming home to their families, eating dinner, and watching their favorite shows day in and day out, completely unaware that disaster may strike at any moment. Not only unaware, but even more dangerous, completely unprepared. Just look at what happened when Katrina, or more recently Sandy, struck the U.S. Mass pandemonium broke out. People died who never should have. And those who have been smart enough to realize that disaster is going to happen usually start looking online for guidance. Maybe that's how you found this site. Thank God you did. Most of what you'll find on those other sites is watered down, completely useless information designed to make you feel like everything's going to be okay. Head over to the Department of Homeland Security's website and follow their guides. I dare you to. You'll be prepared enough for a brisk wind or a heavy rainstorm, but you won't have a chance in hell of surviving what could really happen. Follow those instructions and you might as well just sign your family up for a retreat at Camp FEMA, because that's exactly where you'll end up when you can't provide for yourself. And that's only if you can't make it to a camp or disaster relief site in time. Remember, you'll be competing with tens of thousands for scarce resources. You know, like food and water as the government doles them out to the top 10% first. Regular people like you and me will just get the leftover scraps. And if you're not prepared to survive the 1 to 3 months it takes to calm the chaos of a true disaster, you're putting the lives of yourself and your family in dire risk. It's a stone-cold fact. I'm not trying to scare you and turn you into a nervous basket case peeking around the edges of boarded-up windows. I'm trying to clue you into the reality of today and show you that you don't have to live in fear. You can take control right now. There is no other time than now. Sure, you could wait another day, week, or a month, but what could happen? The country has been riding on a bubble of false confidence for years, and it's about to burst. Do you want to be one of the ones who are surprised when the bottom drops out? If you could have done something about it but chose not to because you were too busy, too distracted, or just didn't make simply educating yourself and preparing a priority, don't let it be you. I refuse to let that happen. Not when I have all the knowledge and skills you could need to survive most any crisis. Not when I've already made sure my family will be safe. You deserve to have the same level of confidence and hope that my years of training have given me. So I sat down and got to work pouring everything I know about preparing for and surviving a disaster. And I created a simple system that anyone, including you, can follow to make sure you're never left unprepared. From a power crisis to food shortages, hurricanes to home invasion, everything is covered in this system. When you simply follow the steps, you will never have an excuse to not be prepared, and I call it the family survival system. You'll notice that it's not a course, book, or guide. It's a system that will take you from an unprepared liability to a survival specialist who will lead your family and everyone you love through any disaster happily, healthily, and prosperous. A system that you will follow step by step until you are more educated and prepared than a college professor on the first day of class. You will become a leader, someone people look to for guidance and protection, someone your family and everyone around you will be proud of. Want to know what you'll get from the family survival system? I have nothing to hide, so let's get to it. What follows is just a small taste of what's included. What the true risks are in America right now, how to recognize them, and how to prepare for them all. To properly prepare, you must first know what you need to prepare for, and I'll show you what signs to watch out for and what to do when you see them. How to use the trash in your garbage can to create enough clean drinking water to keep your family alive for months without having to build anything or buy any expensive filters. An adult needs about a gallon of water per day and can only survive for 3 days without it. But you'll never have to experience that when you follow this system. This one skill will keep you and everyone you know alive longer than anything else, and you'll learn it on page 14. How to make sure that your family never has to go without a hot meal. Do you really want to have to live on MREs and beef jerky? On page 26, you'll learn exactly how to have home-cooked meals every day, even if the power and gas are out of service. You'll laugh at how simple that is and wonder, why didn't I think of that before? How to save a life, even if you have no medical experience. During a crisis, people will be wounded. You can count on it. Follow the family survival system, and you will know exactly what to do when you, your family, or even a stranger needs your help. The truth about having a gun. Just having a gun in your house does you no good. If you don't know what to do and how to do it, you're more of a danger than a protector. You'll see exactly what type of gun to have and how to use it to protect the ones you love. What information to stockpile and how to keep it safe from marauders. The man with the most knowledge wins the game of survival every time. You'll find out how to not only have the right knowledge, but how to protect it from people who know its true value. You can literally trade this information for food, clean water, silver, weapons, and anything else you need during a disaster. But only if you have the knowledge that's most valuable, and I'll show you what that is. This one thing can turn you into a hero when disaster strikes. Learn where is the safest place for your family during a crisis. Hint, it's not always best to stay home, and it's not always best to leave during a disaster. And you'll know exactly which is right for you and your family. Even if you think your home is the safest place to be, you might be wrong, and that could make the difference between life and death. Following the family survival system will show you how to make this incredibly important decision and have a plan before you're in a perilous situation, so you can make sure you and your family is always safe regardless of what's going on. How to turn your home into a fortified bunker rivaling Fort Knox without having to buy any expensive equipment. Just knowing this one thing will ensure that your family can sleep soundly at night in your own home, even if the outside world is in total chaos. And you can find most everything you need around your house and at your local hardware store for much less than you would spend on some fancy alarm system. Alarms are only good if there's someone on the other side that can help you. During a mass power outage, those monitoring centers won't be sending anyone to help you. You'll learn how to create a home so secure that you'll sleep soundly regardless of what's going on outside. How to build a treasure trove of nutritious and delicious foods to keep you and your family healthy for months without having to buy any of those expensive disaster kits. You won't even have to buy anything special. Just follow my systematic approach and you'll build your own stockpile of food just going about your daily life. You'll also learn how to find food if you need it once the disaster has already struck. Don't ever get caught not knowing what's going on, even when the TV and internet are down. Follow this one simple tactic and you'll be plugged into the most breaking news around the world while all your neighbors are sitting wondering what's going on. Understanding the difference between short-term and long-term food supply. What is the single most important tool you can have to both protect and provide for you and your family? It's not a handgun, rifle, or shotgun, and most people overlook this indispensable item. You'll know exactly what it is, how to get one, and which type to choose. Exactly what type of food you'll need to stay healthy, alert, and ready for anything. If you're undernourished, your mind won't be sharp enough to guide your family through what may be coming. The family survival system shows you what to have, how to get it, and store it for the long haul, so you are on the top of your game at all times. What to do if you're caught away from home when the hammer drops. Being caught away from your family when they need you most is the most helpless feeling in the world, especially when phones are down and you can't contact them. You'll learn how to get home as quickly and safely as possible, no matter what's going on. How to create a feeling of safety in your family, even if the world is falling apart around you. Keeping morale up is the key to a happy and prosperous family in times of crisis, and you'll find out exactly what steps to take to make sure that happens. An unhappy family is a family that falls into disorder and fails at the game of survival. Follow my system, and you'll turn your family into a winning team that always comes out on top. If money is tight, or even if you're on a fixed income, you'll learn exactly how to become a survivor without having to stretch your limited funds. This is an extremely important section that I want you to follow to the letter. There are 46.37 million people on food stamps according to NBC News. When there is no food to redeem your stamps for, what are you going to do? The Family Survival System gives you the skills and resources you'll need to make sure that you don't have to go a day without a healthy meal. How to build a medical kit that actually meets the needs of everyone you care for and will cost you less than half of what you'd spend on a store-bought kit. Those off-the-shelf first aid kits are too expensive and don't have half the things you really need in them. Follow my checklist and you'll spend a fraction of the cost and have everything you need to take care of most any medical issue that comes up, or at least make sure you have the time to get real medical attention before it's too late. There's no way to know what will really happen during a disaster, but the Family Survival System will give you everything you need to make sure you are as prepared as possible for whatever happens. Think about how safe and secure you'll feel knowing that you are truly prepared for any possibility. If the power grid goes down for a week, a month, or more, you'll know that you have the skills, resources, and knowledge to keep your family safe and happy through it all. The government isn't going to provide properly for you. You have to rely on yourself. And you want your family and everyone who looks to you for guidance to know that you are the one who can lead them through whatever happens. And that's exactly what the Family Survival System will give you. And it's not like so many of the other guides and courses you'll find online or in a bookstore. They are all just bloated, overwhelming books hashed together from all the information you can already find for free online. Now, what I created for you is an original system that gives you everything you need and is delivered in ways that force you to take the right steps. A system I've developed after years of military service and over 60 disaster preparedness certifications. This system is exactly what I follow to make sure my own family not only survives, but also thrives in a time of disaster. It's complete with checklists that break everything down into simple steps a complete dunce could follow. You simply check everything off as you follow the steps, and once you've finished, you'll know that you're ready for anything. And that brings me to the price of the Family Survival System. It's hard to put a price on a system that will not only keep your family safe and healthy, but also turn you into a leader that everyone around you will turn to for guidance in their time of greatest need. What is it worth to have the peace of mind the system will give you? What is it worth to know that your kids won't go hungry and your home will be a safe haven for everyone you care about? If I price it too low, you'll think it's not as valuable as it really is. If the price is too high, then the millions of people who truly need this won't be able to afford it. So I decided to take the middle ground to make sure everyone can access this life-saving system. If you were to take a basic survival clinic at a top-notch place like Willow Haven, you'd spend from $150 to $300 per day, not including the travel costs to get to the class. Don't get me wrong, hands-on clinics like that are great, but that's just too expensive for most people, and they don't even teach urban disaster survival. In the Family Survival System, I cover more specific, usable information than 99% of those clinics. To have full, complete, and instant access to everything in the Family Survival System, I decided to charge less than half of what the cheapest one-day live survival clinic costs. 50% would be around $75, but that's still too much. So I decided to make this available to anyone with the desire to protect themselves and their family by only charging a single payment of $47. You'll pay $47 one time and have lifetime access to the Family Survival System, which includes free updates for life. As I continue developing and perfecting new ways to keep you in good health, shelter, and wealth no matter what happens, I'll send you every new tactic I discover completely free of charge. In reality, $47 isn't any cost at all, especially when you consider that when the time comes, you'll have knowledge so valuable that your neighbors will gladly trade you anything they can for access to what you'll learn from my system. I'm talking about food, water, weapons, tools, even silver and gold. And I've decided to do something else for you today to make sure you get a copy of my system for yourself today. You'll see a timer running below right now. If you grab your copy of the Family Survival System before the timer runs out, you can get an instant 20% discount and only pay $37 for instant access. If you wait, you'll pay the full $47 just like everyone else. To survive a disaster, you must make quick decisions and execute on them. I'm testing you right now. Do you have what it takes to survive? Grab your copy before the timer runs out and you only pay $37. If you hesitate, you'll pay $47. The people who are going to survive must make important decisions, life or death decisions in the blink of an eye. Grab your 20% discount before the timer runs out. Prove that you have the smarts to survive. I also want to make sure that you are completely confident in your purchase today. So I'm doing something absolutely nuts to make sure you are. I call it the Blow Your Mind Guarantee, and it works like this. If your mind isn't literally blown by what you learn in the Family Survival System, I'm going to give you every penny back. If you aren't so excited to start following the system that your mind starts spinning once you start reading it, then I failed you. I'm so confident in this and how much you'll love it that I'll put my money where my mouth is. You'll have 60 full days to go through the entire system, read everything, follow all the checklists, and make sure it's exactly what you want. If you're not happy with any little thing, just let me know and I'll happily send you a full refund. No questions, no hassles. But I know you'll love it, so I'm not worried. You really just have a simple question to ask yourself. Can you make a quick life-saving decision right now? Is the long-term safety of your family worth $37? Because if you let $37 get in the way of the safety and happiness of your family, then you need to get your head examined. The simple system I'm offering you will give you every skill, tactic, and technique you need to make sure your family not only survives, but also thrives when the inevitable collapse finally comes. You don't want to think back to this moment and say, why didn't I just spend the $37 that day? Things would be so much easier if I had. You're the person everyone will look to guide them safely when it all crashes down. Don't you want to be the person who can actually do that? You are the only one they can truly rely on. Be the person you know you can. Get the skills and knowledge that will ensure you and your family live long, happy lives no matter what's around the corner. You owe it to them. You owe it to yourself. Just click the button you see below. Take the first step and grab your instant 20% discount. You could wait. You could let the timer run out and then kick yourself when the price jumps up 20%. Or even worse, you could click away from this page without doing what you know is right. But what happens if tomorrow is the day everything changes? Life as you know it could grind to a screaming halt. And what would you do then? You don't want to let $37 be what keeps you from spending every day from here on out knowing that you have your family taken care of. If you leave now, you may be too late. I can't predict the future, but I know that now is your opportunity. It's time to decide what kind of person you are, the kind who lets fear and indecision rule your life, or the type who will do anything to protect the lives of the ones you love. My suggestion? Don't be foolish when lives are at stake. Hit the button below, fill out the secure form that follows, and take control. I'll see you on the other side with a special announcement.